And welcome back. It's Rogers Rules. And you know what else rules? I'm at the College World Series this time. I'm not on remote. Cam, can you be seen right now?
I can be seen.
Are you here?
I think so.
Cam is here. Cam's always on it. And this is Jack DeLongchamp. And I think I just nailed that last name.
Yeah, I've murdered it, dude. Not as cool as Cam, but I do appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'll tell you, man, that pitch that Vance Honeycutt shot out to left center yesterday, that's how I feel right now after saying Jack's last name. Jack, great to meet you. Great to kind of finally get to hear a little bit more about your story and talking some college baseball right outside the ballpark. We're at Zipline Brewing, and gosh, I don't even know the street signs anymore. I don't even think I knew the street signs when I lived here. So I couldn't tell you at what corner it is, but we're down
14th and Mike Fahey.
That a boy. That's why Cam's on the show.
He's that guy.
I tell you what, I had the same parking spot 4 days in a row right across the street. So I'm very aware of what street I'm on right now.
That's MVP parking right
I bought
there.
a lottery ticket, so I'm good to go.
Except today he found out it lost because he lost his parking space.
Because I was talking about it too much yesterday. I jinxed myself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think people were actually out to get you.
They all
they were watching Anna and Avery's show the past couple of days. They watched No Block, No Rock. He was just boastful. You should have stayed bashful a little bit.
know.
Instead, you let your head get too big, Cam. You should have let some air out. And
it's hard to be humble.
And now here you are parking 4 spots over from where you could have been. No, it's great.
You gotta get my steps in.
It's great to be back. And the College World Series is just a great scene. Not only are the people from outside and in just so fantastic. The energy is it's always here. Oh. And, it's funny. I watched every little hype video of all 8 teams getting off their plane. I think it was UNC's, and I know I already made a UNC reference, but I'll do it again because it's probably the last time I'll be able to make a UNC reference as we push forward through this show. They got off the plane and we're like, smells like Omaha. And I'm like, what does Omaha smell like?
Cow manure. Right? Or
so is that you?
I don't know. Because on my drive in, I had a 26-hour drive in. The last hour, I smelled the cow. But as I got closer, we see the cornfields. And then when you arrive to the Mecca, all of a sudden that it starts to smell like Hope Dreams and it's baseball land, Disneyland for baseball junkies. So
this is Jack's real voice, by the way.
Yeah.
When he loses his voice, it sounds normal.
Yeah. Here's the deal, Mom, if you're listening again, I've had a lot of people. It's okay to laugh. My mom did call and ask if I had just been chain smoking cigarettes. I had to reassure her that
That's what Omaha smells like.
Marlboro Reds, Cowboy Crushers. But yeah, if this doesn't tell you how excited I've been all week, I don't know what does.
Yeah, I mean, you've been doing great work. And I was telling Cam before you got here, I'm like, isn't it funny how just a pencil, a number 2 pencil, something that we used to smash on our foreheads in 4th grade, it actually became something for Jack. If I gave you a mechanical pencil, would it be the same?
Here's the deal. I was playing hard to get for a while, but you got to go back to your roots, right? I'm a Dixon Ticonderoga guy to my core, right? I think the mechanical I was in for a while, Ticonderoga wouldn't answer any of my DMs. I was feeling a little hurt, but yeah, I think the mechanical might feel a little bit weird in the hand, off balance, but yeah, I'm a Ticonderoga guy through and through.
I don't even think I could say exactly what you just said.
Dixon come on. Dixon Ticonderoga number 2. Everyone knows this pencil.
No, everybody knows the number 2 part. They don't know anything that came before.
Put a poll. I'm telling you, they know. The people know.
No, they don't. It's like when you give somebody like a Texas Instruments calculator. Like, you think you're going to tell me it's a TI-40X2X? Like
TI-82.
The only reason I would know what that was so I could sound smart in high school. I wasn't, but I was like, hey, guys, you guys bring your TI-40? Yeah.
Brother, I know you were typing 8008 on those calculators.
Yeah. No, I was more of a 5 guy.
Okay.
Because you got to add that on the back end. You can't just stop with 1. You got to go to the pair.
Got
I mean, the Edmonton Oilers didn't hold back. Why should we?
They're winning.
They're finding ways to win.
They find a way to win. They got a pair of wins. They're feeling good.
Yeah, dude, it's a good-looking pair of wins. And people are putting together some pairs of wins here at the College World Series as well. Let's just go back one day and take the team that is riding a high off that UNC loss, and that's Florida State. Before this even started, Jack, I mean, I grew up a Florida State fan out of nowhere.
Nice.
Kelvin Benjamin made some catch on top 10 plays, and there I was, a Seminole for the rest of time. And then I was like, I don't really need to be rooting on the Seminoles because I don't know anything about them outside of my dad used to work with a guy that played basketball. He signed a bunch of stuff. It's hanging in our house. I'm like, I still don't know who this guy is, nor anybody else in the picture. It's black and white. I'm like, Dad, you're aging yourself here. But beside that, Florida State, my contention was they're choke artists. They get here and they just flop, or, they work their way through regional play, or they don't even make it at all, like last year. And poof, you kind of like, I don't know, did I underestimate the lineup rather? Maybe a little bit, because this is a team that not only can hit, but they're finding ways to stay consistent and getting good innings from not only their starters, but their pen. I've thought their pen has looked the best that I've ever seen. Yeah. And so kudos to them and what they've been able to do. I mean, we knew they had top prospects, guys that will go at the top end of the draft. But did I expect to see it all kind of come together? Can't say that I did.
Well, I'll tell you this, you're not alone, right? And this is a team that was undefeated through 19 games this year and still couldn't get into the top 25, right? What Link Jarrett's done in his second year down in Tallahassee is so wildly impressive. This is a team that missed the field of 64 last year. It's the beauty in the transfer portal. They hit it. They go and find dogs, right? Guy like Jackson West with 4 hits yesterday. He was a Tallahassee native.
Yeah, who?
At Alabama.
Right.
Hitting in the bottom.
He didn't even start like majority of this season.
Right.
Like, it took until March for him to get a starting role.
It took 1 year for Link Jarrett to go out and find guys like that are hungry, that have no problem sitting and waiting and buying their time, like you mentioned. And then all of a sudden in Omaha, he becomes a folklore legend with 4 hits and a backside homer to end up sealing the deal yesterday. To me, what they were able to do so quickly, right? Max Williams at the top of the lineup. To me, my question mark with them wasn't necessarily the offense that's so damn resilient, but it's more so about that bullpen. But man, have they been super impressive. The offense is nuts. If you're listening at home and you're kind of curious, like, hey, they've kind of got me excited about FSU baseball. They're scoring 11 runs per game in the NCAA tournament. It's not bad. It's a touchdown and a field goal. Wow. Come on.
Is that a touchdown and a field goal? That's only
extra point. I need the extra point.
That's 9 points.
All right, you got no.
Yes, 6 for the touchdown and a field goal.
All right, so if I got to be super specific.
In the extra point? I mean, you should have said a touchdown, field goal, and a safety. That would have made sense.
I'm saving my words. I don't have many left, brother.
I'd say stick to baseball, bro.
It's math. It's math.
Yeah, he pulled out his TI 40X2X for that one.
That's right. Too many 808, 5. Got to stick to it.
Now Jack got moved to the front of the class.
There you go. Lock it in, big fella. Lock it in, big fella. But, man, they've been super impressive. And when you talk about the passing of Mike Martin, like, this team has rallied around that. And we're talking like with the ACC Player of the Year, James Tibbs, yesterday. He goes, dude, we're an offense like every single one of us believes for the 3-hole. Like we are all 3-hole pedigree hitters. So there's this level of confidence and swagger that they play with, accompanied with Link Jarrett, who like just wants them to go crazy. And you kind of see them go nuts on the biggest stage.
Well, I'll tell you too, after watching them flop to Tennessee in game 1, that almost reassured my point of them being joke artists. But what they've been able to do to bounce themselves back and put them in a position to say, hey, Vols, we're back. Yeah. Like, it's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy in game 1. We kind of got, into our own way. And, that Tennessee offense is also unmatched, unbelievable. But going back to that back end of that pen, I mean, Cecil Whitaker's Pizza, okay? Mr. Whitaker. Cecil Whitaker's is a pizza place back in St. Louis, and it can like slap every now and then. Okay. But it's not like.
Is it bar pizza?
No, it's more like you get like a $5 Tuesday pizza from there.
Dude, that actually, I'm all in. Yeah.
And so like when it hits, it hits. Gotcha. And Whitaker has been hitting, right? Like I could go for Cecil Whitaker's Pizza right now because of what he's been doing on the mound. I mean, just eating up innings for that Knowles team. You always need to find somebody like that on your roster. Whether it's a back end bullpen guy or even a starter that can just go, the distance. I mean, Armstrong, I thought, had a very good outing yesterday, and he tweaked something in the very first inning, and still he was out there. He was a fighter. He made it like 4 2/3 or 4 1/3, and I'm like, okay, like you can work with that. You can't work with the. Oh man, my starter comes in and he's not normally one of our good options, and poof, he makes it 2 2/3. Oh gosh, now we're relying on
behind it, and that's exactly what happened in North Carolina. And North Carolina's got to throw their back end leverage guys. Dalton Pence in the 3rd inning just completely throws you behind the 8 ball to not only win the game you're playing, but you still got a couple in front of you. That's why this time of year, like it's so special that these schools start to build statues for dudes that maybe you didn't see at all this season. Like think back just a year ago, Riley Cooper of LSU. He didn't throw a ton during the regular season. He gets into the postseason. He turns into Randy Johnson from the left side.
Showed up.
And he throws one of those guys that throws like 4 or 5 times in 4 days. Brandon Neely of Florida, who they're playing right now. Like that guy has thrown like 180 pitches in the regional super and now in Omaha, kind of picking up right where he left off.
Dr. Consistent. Speaking of Florida, that game going on right now, Kentucky, Florida. Kentucky was off to a 1-0 lead. And then Jack pulls up his phone and it's like,
yeah.
Hey, are you seeing this crooked number? Are you seeing what I'm seeing? 7 runs from Florida. Is that still, it's behind us.
How about that?
Let's give it a little look-see. Is that Avery on ESPN?
Yeah,
could be. Could be.
Sure
Avery
be.
Howard, shout out. No, Kevin O'Sullivan, I mean, just talk about the work that he's done and getting Florida back to this stage. They were not a very good baseball team this season. We knew they had the talent, but they could never put it together.
Yeah.
But they have 37 wins, pretty close to as many losses, it seemed.
They were a game over 500 this year, 28-27. And it's like, you have, in my opinion, a lot of people have been on me all week about this. I think they have the greatest player in the history of college baseball.
Gags.
I think he's the greatest player in the.
Who's the greatest player right now in Major League Baseball?
Right, Jack Tani, right? It's Shohei Ohtani, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what these two guys have done are unicorns. Like they might not have the greatest stats or accolades, but what they are doing in the sport has never been done before.
Well, Florida is a state where you are going to find the cream of the crop of your baseball talent. Florida, Texas, California, these are the states where if you're top end, if you're a top end prospect coming out of high school, people know who you are. Yeah. Cags was not only the number 1 first baseman coming out of Florida, which means he had all 5 tools, right? Yeah, he could hit, he could run, he could field, he could throw, he could, hit for power. He had all 5 tools. And then he's the number 4 pitcher coming out of Florida as well. Yeah. Those don't normally match up. It's one or the other when you come from the great state of Florida. Right. The Sunshine State is what we like to call it, which we have very little sunshine here at Charles Schwab today. But it's no mistake that you use the terminology of one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player that we're seeing at the college level. What he's been able to do from the mound, from the plate, from the field, it's a last year difference to this year too. I mean, when they made it to the finals against LSU, and you watched Cags pitch, and he was like not all of it. Right, he didn't have everything that day. Now you're kind of seeing that experience build up in him, and he's a boil over guy. Yeah. Like he's the guy that you're going to put some water in the pot.
I tell you, is new though. Like that part, like this emotion that overflows, as you're kind of like alluding to. Like this is not a part of his repertoire. He'd hit 480-foot home runs last year and trot around the bases like he had done it 100 times. This season, you could kind of tell that like all of the noise from the outside. This is the preseason number 2 ranked team in the country, and they'd lose midweek games to Stetson, to St. John. Like it just wasn't the season that they had planned for. You see them get into the tournament, and all of a sudden, like you're seeing the big fella play with passion that we haven't seen quite yet from him. And I asked him about after that Clemson Super Regional win, and he goes, "Dude, I'm terrified of taking this jersey off for the last time." Think about that real quick. This guy's set to make millions and millions of dollars, right? The entire country knows his name.
Yet he'll be a top 5 draft pick.
He's going to be a top 2 pick, and he shouldn't be 2, in my opinion, right? To me, to hear a guy like that tell you, like, this is why I'm here, right? You mentioned his high school stuff. He could have been a high school draft guy, but this is why this sport in this place is so different, because the greatest guy of all time that knows he's going to play another 10 years of baseball, like he wants to wear this jersey and play right now. And that's why you're seeing that motion fall over, like you mentioned.
Well, and you'll see that more out of those that lose more than those that win, right? Because yesterday, Vance Honeycutt, also a guy that's going to be a top 20 draft pick. You see him, and he's kind of like, he's trying to hold it together for his teammates. Like he's going up to guys, he's squeezing the shoulder, whatever it might be. But you can tell internally, like he's ready just to kind of let loose, but he doesn't want to show that he's ready to let loose. If and when Florida loses, okay, you're going to see emotion pour out of Cags' face. And you're going to be like, what? Yeah. And that just shows, like, again, that meaning of not only this event, but what it means to the guy, the player, right? You think about it with in college basketball, you take Caitlin Clark, for example, somebody that, you know, wanted to win a national championship. It's like doing things the right way. And I'm going to use that term loosely because in your mind, there is no right way.
Right.
The right way may be, $3 million today for my family versus, waiting around in college. But Caitlin Clark was all about going through high school, going through college, trying to win a national championship, and then going to the WNBA. And that's kind of like Kags' story. Kags is, I'm going through high school. I'm making sure I go through college because my goal at this stage in my life, in these 4 to 6 years because of COVID, these 4 to 6 years is winning a college World Series.
Right.
And if that's not done, there's a missing piece if he skips right over, if he leaves early. And there are players like that. There are also more players, I would say, that would just say, I'll go take my change when I can.
Right.
And so those are stories that people attach to. Yeah. And that's why Florida, low-key, may be a team to root for if you have no one to root for.
Yeah.
Not only are you cheering for the best player that is stepping foot on the greatest show on dirt right now, but you're cheering for somebody that is relatable.
Yeah.
And that you can like turn any story and say, he feels it too. I feel that too.
Well, it's alarming if, like, in the College World Series where we get Oral Roberts last year in 6C when Coastal wins it all. If our underdog this year is Florida, like, come on. Like, the college baseball blue blood has won like as many national champions as anyone. Come on. So, but yes, there is a level of relatability. You know, we're talking about before we jumped on was this idea that what these guys do is so unbelievable. But like outside of the Rose Bowl with college football, this is really the only consistent staple. And it's why I love it. Where guys in August when they, sign in and get ready to rumble at school, like, there's an idea, there's a goal, there is a vision, and it is this place. And that's why I think this place becomes, you're able to resonate with it a little bit more than maybe any other sport.
Yeah, and it's because there's one location.
Right.
And you're striving for that one location. Now, the later game, as I kind of like put all of my notes together, it's just all sporadic on my sheet. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I just start like writing things down and I have no sort of organization. And like if I was filling out a job resume right now, if they said ask for a weakness, it would be not organized.
Well, I gotta tell you, shout out to my girlfriend. She told me I got golden retriever energy. So if you're looking for someone to bounce all over the map, I'm your guy.
All right.
There's no organization in this whole dome piece.
So you have Tennessee and you have Florida State playing a game at 2:00, and then you have A&M taking on the winner of this game. Texas A&M was one of those teams too that when they lost Brady Montgomery, it kind of like sucked the air out of their name. Like, I would say
the national media's perspective.
Correct.
Without question.
Yeah, their name. And, I was talking with Anna and Avery on their show on Monday. It was right before you hopped on. And I was kind of giving my breakdown of every team. And I just basically said, look, Texas A&M isn't accidentally a top 5 team in baseball. If they were, and it was because of Brady Montgomery, people everywhere would be writing this team off. But there's a reason that they're not. Yep. It's because they're more than just one guy. And you're seeing that now. Yeah. And you're also seeing that sort of, and you'll be, because you played. Right. You're seeing that camaraderie from the guys like rallying around Montgomery, as in like, hey, we got you. You had us. Right. Now we got you. But there's so many guys on that team that can hit, that can pitch. They have a great bullpen. I'm like, if you're looking for a complete team, even without Brady Montgomery, it's still Texas A&M.
Might be the best bullpen right in the entire tournament. And to me, it's going to become overplayed. Every time they win, you're going to see him go over and then give him a big hug. But to me, it's so special because when you think about his journey, right, like transferring from Stanford, he balls out this year in College Station. But like immediately watching those fans like attached to him, not because of his talent, but because of who he is as a person, was able to get really close with the kid last year in the World Series, followed him in Team USA, was able to literally podcast with him 2 weeks right before he gets injured.
So it's your fault.
Well, I will tell you this. The kid is so special because like when you have these conversations and right, I'm trying to dive in and learn about him. He's the master of deflection. He was the first one to point out every single one of his team members. So that's why I was quick to mention the national media said, wins out the sales of the A&M team. Not in that dugout, right? Like if you've been paying attention all year, like they've got an unbelievable cast and crew of personalities, whether it be Aiden Schott, right? An old guy, 25, like Columbia transfer, got 2 years stolen of baseball from the Ivy League. Like there are some dudes that are hungry as hell to be here. And the one thing that stands out is watch Montgomery during these games. right?
Oh,
He's not
he doesn't
sulking.
fade. He doesn't fade.
Yeah, and I just kept like thinking about how stoked he looked to just be here, right? And how valuable his experience in being here last year with Stanford and how he was going to be able to apply that leadership into a message for his teams this year. I think his mom tweeted it out because you can feel that sense of excitement from him. She said, tweet it out, choose joy. Choose joy this week. And he has at every turn. And I think because when you see your guy, right, your leader take on that type of attitude, how can that not become contagious, right? And I think that's what's so special.
It's a good foundation too, though, and it stretches outside of the diamond. It stretches to his home life.
No doubt.
Like you would not see him, putting forth effort in the categories that most people would say don't matter from a superstar. Being the ultimate teammate, everybody kind of like needs to step up and have a role, but his role isn't being the ultimate teammate. His role is winning baseball games for this program. And you can tell a good foundation, it's a good pour when you have your mom, like you just said, tweet out something like that. And the contagiousness that is now, kind of flowing off of that post, he sucks it in like a sponge.
Right. And
now he's out there doing that. And he's got good roots. He comes from good people. He plays with good people. And you kind of talked about the next man up mentality. Yeah. Everybody has that in that dugout. Yeah. Like when he went down, that team didn't fizzle.
No.
That team, they didn't go flat. They're not like Coke sitting out on a counter. Like they are still jamming like you just popped a tab.
You want to talk about one man up, one man down, next man up. Your team's pretty good, pretty deep. If the guy sitting behind Braden Montgomery is a Hall of Famer's son and Caden Kent, are you kidding me? Jeff Kent's son, Caden hits a grand slam the next day that Braden Montgomery goes down. And I think to me, like it shows you, right, whether it's Kent or Schott or the big fella Jace Lavalette, like they're so deep and they can beat you in just so many different ways.
Now, Tennessee, we kind of glossed over them up until this point. Right. We also glossed over Kentucky, but for me, and you can chime in if you'd like, Kentucky is one of those teams like, they made their first. They were a top team this year, but the lack of experience being here at the College World Series, I think it is going to I don't know. I think it's going to bite them.
Let's see. How bad is it biting them right now?
It's still 7-1. But I mean, it's the third inning. Baseball is a weird sport. Yeah. Anything can happen. You can put up, as we've seen, 6 or 7 runs in an inning. But it's going to come to a point where Kentucky, the lack of experience is going to hurt them. Yeah. Where you're playing a team like Florida, they got so close last year that. Again, been there, done that. They know what it takes to move forward. Kentucky's in a spot where their back's against the wall right now. They lost already to Texas A&M, and they're playing a Florida team that is, we'll call it riding a high, coming off of one win. But that one win was against an NC State team that was one of the scrappiest teams here. Streaky for one, but also scrappy. And it's hard to beat scrappy teams in any sport. So Florida has a little bit of a wave. They're riding that momentum. And Kentucky, I think they'll just fall flat. They're a team that I just don't think it's their year.
Well, they're up next. It's similar to NC State. To me, I love the foundation and core that Kentucky has built. Like you said, weird. That's been their motto this year is let's get weird. Like Coach Mingione wants them to embrace their true selves. And then you see like Nicky Lopez rocking the aviator glasses and the blue mustache. Like to me,
you like it. You like their flair.
No doubt. And I like the flair just because look at what it's done, right? Nicky Lopez was a kid that hit 270 at Southern Cal this year. He had 370 in the SEC this year. Mitchell Daly was a career 260 hitter at the University of Texas. He hit 320 at Kentucky this year. So to me, you found guys hitting gems with a chip on their shoulder and allowed them to embrace who they really are. And all of a sudden, they've really played together. To me, they're a lot like NC State because of the way they manufacture runs. I was really excited about this team. I actually picked chalk. I thought it was going to be Kentucky and Tennessee and let those fan bases try to eat each other, maybe kill each other in the ring. But really good ball club. If they can't able to surmount this comeback, then hey man, what a heck of a year. Definitely not one to hang your head about, and they will for sure be back. I'm predicting Kentucky becomes a baseball school in the next 5 years.
Well, we know they won't be a basketball school. John Calipari, not the answer that anybody was looking for. And football is, it's out of the question. We know they're not a football school. So I think you have a safe bet in choosing that it'll become a baseball school. But you mentioned chalk, Tennessee, of course, that team that if there's any team with a chip on their shoulder, it's the Tennessee Volunteers. They've been best team in baseball for years and years now, and they finally come into this with that target on their back of, oh, is history going to break, right? Is the number one team finally going to win it all? They've found themselves in a good spot where they've had really good players and lost. They've had really, really good players and lost. Now they have really, really, really good players, and it's like, okay, it's either their time is now or it's never coming.
Right. It just shows how difficult it is to win here. And if their depth has depth like it did in Hoover, maybe throw guys in Hoover in the SEC tournament that had less than 10 innings on the mound, and they still won the SEC championship. It just shows that they have built a rock solid foundation. Like when you look at the 21 and 22 teams, you're talking about some of the greatest regular season college baseball teams statistically that we've ever seen. Yet it was this national narrative that these were the bad boys of college baseball. They even had guys in MLB talking about it. I was kind of on the other side of the polarizing argument where I said it was really good for the game. You might not like the antics, but what they're doing is getting people to talk about what happens in those runs, right? You've got freshmen on that team that are contributors that are watching Drew Gilbert and Jordan Beck and AJ Russell. Like they're watching these guys ball out, and all of a sudden they're learning kind of how they want to create their own narrative and their own identity, right? Mm-hmm. Those are young freshmen like Christian Moore. Those are young freshmen like Blake Burke. And look who's dominating on the brightest of stage right now. Down 3 in the 9th inning to a Florida State team that's had him on the ropes the entire game. Down 6 in the ballgame itself. I'm not going to flinch in the face of adversity, right? Christian Moore, it's the second ever cycle in the history of this tournament. Kavares Tears has been on an absolute rampage. He's got to be the quietest 20 home run season in the history of the sport. They've got dogs littered throughout the lineup. Their pitching has been solid, rock top to the bottom. But to me, it all starts at the head. Ask any single one of their players. It might sound like Coach Beaker. It might sound scripted. Every single one of their guys, when asked a question about what's so special about this group, starts at the top. Tony Vitello has brought the juice since day one. I told Avery and Anna this the other day. And self-admittedly, I've got a little bit of a man crush on him. His energy is palpable.
Good thing you follow that up with him and not them.
Yeah, no, I've got total man crush.
I was going to say the girlfriend may be a little spicy once you call her this afternoon.
My girl is completely aware of my man crush of Tony V. He is just so like his leadership. Like his guys have clearly taken on the embodiment of this dude. So you're right. Is this the year? I don't know. But I don't know if you heard his post-game interview after the Evansville win, where people were questioning, hey, if you lose in the Super to Evansville, like, is it just a total failure of a season? And he went nuts. Because Webster's dictionary defines success as, and he just lit him the hell up.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, that stuff's beautiful to me. And that's the kind of juice that his guys play with. So if they get it done, great. If they don't, he's going to be okay. Isn't it like they're the number one team in the country and they've got people treating them like an underdog? Like, right. That's not an Alabama.
I'll tell you this too. You have that sort of reaction because the frustration has been building, right? So when the media has been poking, it's really easy to be cool, calm, and collected year one.
Right.
Like, oh no, you're like, this is just what happened. Like, we'll turn it around. We'll get back next year. Then you have next year happen and it sort of kind of ends the same way. And it's like the media's again, like you're poking the bear. At some point, the bear's going to fight back and Tony Vitello fought back in that moment. Okay. And as media members, as we both know, if you see a coach do that to anybody, if they grill somebody, it's like, that's the last question. Yeah. Like, nobody's asking another question. You're not going to be like,
I would.
Hey, my follow-up question probably would be, hey, Coach, what's the next word in that dictionary? Can you give me that definition too?
Mine would be, hey, Coach, what's for dinner tonight? Quick change.
But you know what? That frustration, they're at a point in time where it's met their match. Like they're like, it's us. And I'm tired of what they're saying. I'm tired of going out and losing this baseball game. We're gonna find ways, even if it's 1 out. We have 1 out to score 2 runs. We're finding ways to get on base, and we're sending the ball over the fence, or we're putting balls in play. We're gonna make the other team make the mistake. No doubt. And Tennessee is just really good at not going away.
Yeah.
Just really, really good at saying, hey, just because you went 8 2/3 doesn't mean that we can't score 3 right now.
Right.
And we'll go after it.
If you want a kid to fall in love with too, right? Like when you talk about the offense, another guy in the pitching rotation that like has, I guess, overcome a lot of obstacles. He was a midweek guy most of his career. Xander Sechrist has been quietly maybe the most efficient pitcher, not only in the SEC, in the country the last month of the year. He's going to start today. He's going to start today. He's a southpaw. He's pitched on Sundays. He understands his pitchability, 3-4 pitches for a strike. To me, with Sechrist, it's really interesting. If you want a good listen on a post-game recap, this guy has got a wildly bright future in whatever he wants to do. If
he's one of the goofy guys, right?
If you were a stand-up comedian, he'd make millions next week. I'm telling you, this guy does not miss. I had the opportunity to interview him and Kirby Connell, the guy with the
I saw it.
He's volley fingers. These two dudes like keep it light, keep it fresh. And they're two guys that went into this season going, this is it. This is my last year of college baseball. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. And now all of a sudden, like that joy that they play with hasn't left just because they're here. And I think like it's like we said, contagious a couple times this pod. It's contagious to their teammates. As like he'll get the start tonight. He's not like the locked in, super uber focused guy. He's like, all right, boys, let's go do this thing. And I think that is like that playing with house money. Chips are all in. Let's ride. That's why to me it's like, ooh, there's a reason they're the favorite. They probably should be.
They know who they are. Now, Jack, we're halfway through the tournament. You have a pretty good shot at choosing who you think is going to win this whole thing. But are you resting on Tennessee then?
I will tell you that I don't know. I did a handful of interviews on my drive out in the camper. I probably did 11 or 12 of them. I picked 8 different winners in 10 different things, but on y'all's show, I picked Tennessee.
Oh, so we're riding with that.
I'm a genius. I'm the smartest man alive.
Well, let me tell you something here, Jack. I got a story for you, and it dates me 4 years. So
how long?
Yeah, I know. That was when I first came to the College World Series.
Okay,
for the very first time. I was up in Sioux City. Even throughout my time in St. Louis, it wasn't like, oh, let's make a trip up to the CWS or anything. So when I got to Sioux City and I noticed that, oh yeah, biggest tournament in college baseball is an hour and a half away. Let's make the drive and let's go. So I bought a shirt, and I'm a big like, show me like your creative design, and then I'll buy into your team, because I don't have a college baseball team. Okay. Like Lindenwood is where I graduated from. The furthest they've ever made it was the Division II national tournament, which was cool, but it's still not like, oh my gosh, I'm riding and dying with my boys. So I don't have a team, and I go down and I see Mississippi State. Well, first off, I'm on the plane to go to Sioux City from St. Louis, and then I made the drive, and I meet Tanner Allen's grandfather. Okay. Tanner Allen, pretty good player.
Dog.
So I'm talking to him, and he's buttering me up to choose Mississippi State. And like, you gotta pull for Mississippi State. I'm like, let's do it. Like, you know what? Screw it.
There's
like,
my sign.
When am I going to sit next to a starting right fielder's granddad again? Right. Probably a good chance, but I'm going to say this is the only time in life.
I like it.
So I go down and I notice their shirt says Omaha Dogs. I'm like, I'm an Omaha Dog.
Yeah,
that's a shirt.
No,
that's a shirt. So I bought it. They won the College World Series. I go back to my newscast that night with the Omaha Dog shirt underneath my suit, and I just start undressing on air. No. Like, as I'm doing my sportscast.
Yeah, you thought I was going to get in trouble. I'd be very careful, sir. You said, all right, sure.
And so I undress, and by the end of the sportscast, you see me in my Mississippi State shirt with my hat on. Okay? That's how it all started. Very next year, I'm like, all right, this is going to be weird. But I like had this weird infatuation for Tim Elko. Oh, like, out of nowhere. Like, yeah. The stash got me. And I was captivated by it. So I chose Omaha, because I'm like,
how did your Mississippi State fans that joined, how did they feel about that? Probably not very good.
The good news is, when you start small, not a lot of attention is on you. Okay. And so I like that. I don't think they knew exactly what I was doing. And so I bought the Omaha shirt. Also, didn't follow a lot of college baseball that year. Didn't realize Ole Miss should not have been in that tournament. They go and win the entire thing. I'm like, I may be a genius.
I was going to say, a genius or a bandwagon. One of the two. I just need to see receipts, right?
Right. Well, I have the T-shirts.
Guy wins.
And so then I chose LSU last year because my buddy was a huge LSU fan. And I'm like, well, I'll root for the team. Since you're coming for the whole tournament, I might as well root for, Omaha. Well, that was a pretty easy bet.
What?
After
the Wake win.
Yeah. Before that, I was like, uh-oh. Yeah. And so I was 3 for 3. So this year I was like, what do I do?
Because
I am the guy.
You're the guy.
Everybody knows it.
I like it.
And I shouldn't have. I thought I.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys are getting like
Yeah. Hold on one second. So I was back and forth. Do I ride with another buddy or do I go with my gut? And I'm like, well, my buddy said he would come up to Omaha if I rode with his team, or I could have gone with my gut. I played the card of I didn't want to make the 6.5 hour drive alone.
No doubt. So you went with your boy.
So I went with my boy.
That already worked before for you.
Yeah, so it already worked.
Go
and I'm
back
like,
to the
why not? The gut was Tennessee because it was like at some point it had to be their year.
No doubt.
The boy was UNC. And last night I fell flat on my face in my CWS predictions. And I did it to myself because I had never put money down on the guys. I only bought the shirts. This year I'm like, I'm putting the bank account down. Yeah, the mortgage, babe, it's down. Yeah, it didn't go well for us. UNC Omaha Heels.
Venmo request says Honeycut.
Yeah, I'll just be like, you can pay me in 6 months.
Yeah, you're gonna be just fine.
So Omaha Heels did not pull it off, which is okay.
Yeah.
But I also liked they had a story with them, right?
Yeah, love a storyline.
That they had, the Omaha bat boy that was with that team and unfortunately passed away. And so when you're rallying behind something too, and not to make, something, we always want to turn a tragedy into something
turn
positive.
Your pain into purpose.
Right.
That's it, right.
And not to try to dial things back the wrong direction. But when you kind of pool a lot of those things together, it's like, it's a team of destiny now.
Right. No doubt.
And you're playing for something. So I was like, oh my goodness, this may be the best thing for me. Like, I can't believe I chose UNC. And I loved Vance Honeycutt. Still do.
Yeah, Vance.
I mean,
dog.
Such a beast. Dog. Such a beast. But if I had to choose a team right now, it'd probably be Tennessee.
Go with your gut. Right.
I
don't want to dial it back with you, but I think that was what was so special about this team. Like, I just kept thinking that we were going to get all these mid-majors because the one word that everyone's using is parity. There's so much parity in college baseball.
I love that.
We're so old. I was a part of the problem. I was a 6-year guy. COVID, I got that.
Yeah, thanks. All these freshmen can't get scholarships.
All these 25-year-olds running around part of the problem. But with that being said, this sport is older, bigger, faster, stronger than ever before. So I just thought we were going to get a lot of mid-majors because I watched all year. They're so uber talented. So in the flip side, it did kind of make sense that we got the teams that invested the most money into their programs. 8 of the top 10 teams in the country are here this week. But storylines, though, NC State, right? The vengeance of 21 in the COVID year. When you look at Florida State, right? This is a Mike Martin legacy season. He passes away this year. Wouldn't it be fitting that one of the greatest coaches in the history of the sport, who never gets it done, but 40 wins for 40 years straight is nuts. It's almost more impressive, right?
Right.
Wouldn't it make sense for them to go get it done with Link Jarrett, who played for Mike? There were so many of those,
Kentucky's first time ever here.
There were so many of them that it felt like, okay, cool. I can fall in love with this idea of why they're the team just as much as their talent alone. So I'm all about the storyline too.
All right. Now I got into an argument. Leave it to me, Cam, to get into an argument. I got into an argument with a buddy last week because he was just stomping all over college baseball. Okay. And at some point, you got to read the room. And I'm just like, man, I'm about to go up there.
Yeah, I've kind of chosen a life's work, friend.
And so, he's squashing college baseball like it's an ant. And I'm like, okay, give me your best argument. His argument on why he hates college baseball is, how can it prepare you for Major League Baseball when they're using metal bats? Okay, so, and I'm like, this is a very minuscule, but also poor place to kind of land an argument. So I'm like, all right, let's go down. I'll bite.
Right. Sure.
Tell me your point. And it was because, once they get to the next stage, it's like, what is a metal bat going to do for them? And I said, I totally get that. But think about it away from, oh my gosh, all they do is hit home runs, because that doesn't happen.
Right.
Pitching is so good, you can work around almost anything. And also the bats that they have to use kind of lower the opportunity of hitting home runs. I said, when you went from just little league baseball to high school, what did you have to do? He's like, well, I had to buy a new bat. I'm like, yeah, what was the bat? You had to buy a BB core, right? And you had to buy the BB core. And so what did the BB core do? Well, lowered your chances of having incredible pop you did in little league. Well, because people are growing. People are getting stronger. And then, when you go to college, it's like, well, I mean, you don't get to go back to that little league bat. It's not like you come here and we're playing slow pitch softball with rolled bats, even though when the Hispanic Titanic was here, it seemed as such. Another dog. But yeah, I kind of wanted to kind of gauge your thoughts on that because it rubbed me the wrong way.
I'll squash him. Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, squash him for
Squash him. All right, friend. Here's the deal. This is really quite simple on 2 lanes, right? College basketball, NBA. 3-point line a little bit deeper in the NBA? Oh,
sure is.
My bad. Oops. This is really quite simple, though. All these guys go and use wood in the summertime. Every single one of them. But at the end of the day, the NCAA is a nonprofit organization, right? They're not paying these schools
to break bats.
Charleston Southern, where I played, our whole baseball budget, right, for everything, food, travel, everything, was less than the University of South Carolina's actual baseball budget, right? University of South Carolina can afford wood bats when you shatter them, and we're like s'moring marshmallows over their wood bats over the end of the day. Not the mid-majors. The mid-majors can't afford, right, tens of thousands of dollars in bats each season. It's just about money, right? Like, this has nothing to do with their talent. They're all going and using them in the summer times when they use their own stuff.
And when they use them in the summer, they know that they're not hitting the ball as far.
Right.
Everybody knows that when you pick up a wood bat.
I would tell you, though, in my personal opinion, off the barrel of wood and off the metal, like barrel, it's the same feel. Like, I don't think that you're losing as much distance off the barrel of a wood bat.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know if you played backyard baseball 2005 recently, Jack, but there is a power up in that game where you get the aluminum bat, and when you hit that ball, it goes 7,000 feet.
And so Pablo Sanchez didn't need the help. Right?
Yeah, no, he didn't. But I'm just telling you, I may argue your math there.
Yeah,
in terms of distance.
What you're taking away, though, is like with metal, I catch it off the end or I get jammed up a little bit. These guys are so big and strong, they still might be able to run it out.
You get a bloop single.
The sweet spot itself, like, come on, I'm cool.
Yeah, Michael, suck it.
Yeah, Michael.
All right, let's have some more fun before we let Jack go and before we kind of get on with our day here at the College World Series. Jack, as you can tell, is a huge college baseball nut. Nerd, whatever you want to call him. He'll accept, a-hole. Like it's weird, sure. But he's just like okay with any nickname under the sun. Yeah. So we're gonna stick with nerd for this show. But Jack, I kind of wanted to do something fun with you in terms of how deep is your college baseball knowledge. Yeah. So we're 21st century guys. I'm not going to say you have to date yourself back to the 60s because I think that's so unfair. I used to play trivia with my guys on my show back in town, and they could tell me like how many wins Minnesota had in 1949. And I'm like, that is like 50 plus years before my time. So for you, we'll stick in the 21st century. I want to see how many teams you can actually go back and choose the champion. I don't need the final. I just want to know the champion from 2023 on down to 2001. And we'll see how many you can get.
I'll tell you this. Shout out to my boys at 11.7. We were talking about my guy, Ben Upton, the needle of college baseball, as I like to call him. He's the man. He makes fun of me a lot. He's a wizard. I think he could go back all the way to the 1970s. He's good. I'll tell you pretty straight up.
We'll put him to the test. Let's call him on Saturday for the show.
We'll call Ben. Ben will smoke me. I say things all the time that I'm out of character. Like I've got no clue. I feel good about this list. The years might trip me up, but I feel like I could name the cast and crew of teams. I feel good about.
Let's do it.
Them.
Let's do it.
Let's ride.
2023,
LSU.
2022.
So we've got your boys.
You're welcome. I gave you the last three.
All right. So give me the whole state of Mississippi. Good friend.
All right. 2020.
So this was COVID year. See, the years are going to have me all tripped up, man. COVID year was weird. Was Vandy 19 or 20?
They were 19. 20, I just tricked you. There's no winner in 2020. No one won. They didn't play.
I was going to say, my last game was at Virginia Tech, COVID year. Now my brain. See, trivia makes me nervous.
All right, so you're, 4 for 4 right now? Cam, you keep track. 2018.
So 19, I got Vandy. 18 is 17 was Florida. 16 was Coastal.
Correct.
So that would make 18. It's the South. We're sticking in the Southeast, right?
I would not go Southeast with this answer.
You would not go South.
That's just my personal opinion.
Oh, it was the drop fly ball. Oregon State.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, you got it.
Drop fly ball.
Yeah, that was a
good looks.
Wow.
Oh, that was tough.
That was a
fly ball.
That was a tough one.
That was a toughie. That was a toughie.
All right. So 2015, you're cruising.
I'm cruising, but this is where I'm going to get in trouble. I could tell you 10 and 11 right now off the top of my head.
Okay.
12 off of the top of my head. 13, 14, 15. I may lose us here.
Okay. Well, let me go. Let's get 2012.
Let's go 10. So 10 was South Carolina, 11 was South Carolina, 12 was Arizona.
That is right.
Those three, that was when I really fell in love with the sport, to be honest with you. I fell in love with those South Carolina teams being from Charleston, South Carolina. And then in 12, they got beat in the
2010. South Carolina, was that Whit Merrifield?
Yeah,
All
the
right.
walk-off against UCLA.
Goodness, that was sexy.
Jackie Bradley. Oh, sexy. Chef's kiss. Jackie Bradley Jr., Whit Merrifield, Scott Wingo. Oh, I might even be able to do that whole lineup. But yeah, I mean, and then they beat Garrett Cole and Trevor Bauer, right? Like, oh man, that was.
Are those good guys? Did they pitch well in Major League Baseball?
Still pretty good.
All right, so then 2013 was actually the last team. Here's a fun fact for you: the last team that swept through College World Series play.
Wow. So they're good, obviously. I don't know.
And this.
Yeah, 13, 14, 15, I may be tripped up on. 15, I should know, though. I was a senior in high school, and that was...
well, 14's a blue
see.
blood. Well, I shouldn't consider it a blue blood because blue bloods, you have to like really go
was it
way
Florida?
back.
Florida's definitely got another one.
Florida won in only 17.
And they hadn't won since the early 2000s.
And they hadn't won since, as you just put it.
Yeah, early 2000s. So it's another blue blood, 13, 14.
Well,
Can I phone a friend? Cam looks locked in over there.
yeah, Cam, go ahead.
For 15?
I don't know either
For
one.
15
13,
or 14.
14.
He knows his 15,
Was that
I bet.
Mississippi State?
No.
No.
Mississippi State was 21.
I'm telling you right now, my guy Ben Upton is laughing at me so hard right now. He knows
So
I'm
I should get
I
off of
love
the blue
this.
blood train because when I watch college baseball, it was like from when you started, and that's
Yeah.
considered a blue blood to me in those
That
packs.
makes sense, though.
So just take your pick. I mean, this is a team that's always good at baseball.
Dude, I just found out. I called North Carolina a blue blood. And I was like, yeah, they've been there like 18 times. Never won it, though. And everyone was on me about it. Can't win. I was like, yeah, I knew that. 15, right before Coastal. So
Like a blue blood would be LSU, right?
a blue blood would be LSU.
Yeah. This is not a blue blood that I'm like considering.
Man, I'm brain farting here. Help me out.
Vandy 1 and 14.
Vandy won it. That's a blue blood for sure.
You would consider them a blue blood?
For
Okay.
sure. The
All right.
Vandy boys. Yeah. It's like a dynasty run, right?
Okay. So
Dansby Swanson.
So maybe that's a better way to say it. The dynasty run.
Yeah,
Because a blue blood, you would really have to go back into like the 70s, and then
Yeah, but
you're
like,
like winning
same,
consistently.
but like Southern Cal won like 6 national
Sure.
championships in like the 80s and 90s, but like I wouldn't consider them a blue blood.
Would you
anymore.
consider Cal State Fullerton a blue blood?
Cal State Fullerton? All right, so the early 2000s, you've got Texas, Miami, Cal State Fullerton, Rice.
Okay, so you had those four
in order,
not in the
right?
correct order.
Oh no. So 99 was Miami. Did they go back to back?
They did not. LSU won in 2000, but that's not a 21st century team, so I'm not going to.
You're not gonna
I'm not going to count
fault
it
me
against
for
you.
it? Ah,
But why'd you say it was a back-to-back team? Because Miami started in 1. They
Yeah.
were the 2001. team.
2001. Yeah. So Miami, and then was it Cal State Fullerton in 02 or was that Texas in 02?
Texas in 02.
Yeah.
Good call.
Cal State Fullerton in 03.
Nope, Rice in 3.
There's my mid
That random Rice team,
dude.
they,
Those Rice teams were awesome.
they were fun.
Speaking of Ben Upton could name every Rice probably starting lineup for the last 20 years. Like when you think about some of the legendary Lance Berkman and Rendon and like those dudes that just hit mammo home runs.
They were never all stars.
Yeah, right.
And then four was Cal State Fullerton. So
Okay.
now you're at 5. 2005.
I feel good.
See, for me, like I'm really good at Madden covers, so like I could like date myself for Madden covers.
I bet I'd be better at MLB World Series. You put me on the spot. I like it. I need to go educate myself a little bit better.
Yep, no more just 8008.
Facts. 05. So we're up to 05.
Lost to, or they beat Florida.
Beat Florida. This team that beat Florida.
Yep.
Oh wait. So. Oh man, that's 06-07. 06-07, Oregon State went back to back, and they beat North Carolina
In
twice.
both. Yeah, I know.
Devastating for the Eagles.
Dude, oh man,
Just devastating
tough look.
for the field. Oh, dagger.
And it was like the first one was close, but the 07 game was 9-3.
Ay, coños. In 05 though, beat Florida.
Team was here last year. right? 2 years ago.
Let's see. 05.
I think they were here last
It's
year.
an ACC team.
No.
Out west.
No.
Not much left to pick from. 05 would have been.
Oh man,
I was 8.
I don't want to tell you wrong.
What? I'm wrong a lot.
No. They were last year in 2022. So I lied about them being last year.
So they were there in 22.
That's what I told you wrong.
That's okay. That didn't help.
SEC,
SEC.
formerly Big 12.
Wasn't A&M. Was it? Really? Texas won again in 05?
Texas won in 05.
I could tell Houston Street, closer for the Rockies.
Yep, great player.
05, Texas won. I didn't know that.
Yep,
I knew
and
they
then
had the early one. I didn't know they went back again. Yeah, here's my fun fact for you. Augie Garrido, the legendary college baseball
there
coach.
you go.
How about Augie Garrido? Every single class that he brought to the University of Texas, every class went to Omaha. Isn't that the most
wild.
insane thing you've ever heard? So every 4
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, they were there.
They were there. It's crazy to me.
Wow.
So that's a college baseball blue blood. No
Okay.
doubt.
Yeah, there you go. And then this next win was just kind of completely odd.
So what? Wait. Mid-major guy.
Yep.
Fresno.
Yep.
Let's go.
Fresno State.
Love my Fresno
And they
guys.
beat
no idea.
Georgia.
Oh, that's right. The Beckham. Yeah, Gordon
Mhm.
Beckham team. Yep. Man, those were and that was. I think you'll see Georgia make another run next year. They hadn't gotten out of a regional since they went to the World Series in 08.
That's crazy.
See, how do I not know that they forget? I think trivia makes me nervous.
You're sweating a little bit.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody get this man a paper towel.
I know. How about
All right, now you're up at 9. You went back to back with Carolina and Arizona. So you need 9, 13, and 15.
I really went up about this in a really organized manner. Do you see the golden retriever energy that I'm
well, I'm
telling
telling you, I can't believe I kept track of where we were.
You're very, very impressed. You're more organized than you give yourself
Yeah,
credit for.
maybe I'm more of a lab. I know where I put my tennis ball.
All right, 09. Was that UCLA?
It was not. They won in 13.
All right.
So that was the team you were looking for in 13.
What did I say? I prefaced this with, I feel like I can name all teams. I just got no clue on the years.
Yeah.
UCLA.
So UCLA was that last team that swept all the way through.
Interesting. Yeah, they were freaking wagon, man. But in 09, before Carolina, was that Florida?
That was not.
That was not.
So
your voice got me so excited. Defeated. All right, coach me up.
09. This team beat Texas, and it was a mashing. They won 11-4. And gosh, this was before me. I'm trying to. Coach of this team.
Yeah.
So he was a long-term coach at this school. There was a player on this team. The great little backstory. Not on this 09 team, but a recent LSU. Oh gosh, LSU. Here we go. This is what I get for trying to explain things.
Best trivia host around.
Pulmonary LSU.
I was gonna say there's a great story about a pitcher that said he could hit on pulmonary.
Yeah.
And
that wasn't that year, but
no. But I was gonna try to get you to a fresh year.
Gotcha.
And then I just ended up saying LSU. So
sat with Pulmonary at Lulu B's for breakfast the other morning.
No way.
Yeah, right across the way. I was sitting up at the bar.
All right.
Rocking these Carolina Garnet. It's cool. Did you see that Pulmonary's gonna be the new coach of South Carolina?
No.
Yeah. How about that?
Fun fact.
Breaking news, right?
Well, I don't know how breaking it is because he said, "Did you see?"
Yeah,
so it's probably been broken.
3 days ago. That's okay.
It's been broken for a while now. I was at the UFL championship. Give me a break. All right, now 2015, last team.
15. Oh, that was the one we missed. 15.
This team was here this year.
This team, so that means they're gone. Oh, Virginia.
Yep,
Virginia
there you
won.
go.
Virginia won the national championship in 2015, and they played. Fun fact: they come down to play like a preseason tournament type deal, like in late February. And the field they were supposed to play on was underwater. They played it in my high school.
All right.
Weird.
The
The national champions just beat the brakes out of Indiana on my high school. 2 random teams. So yeah, fun fact of the day.
There you have it. All right. One final thing before I let you go, Jack, and then we'll wrap this thing up right at noon. Outside of CAGs, your favorite player that you've ever interviewed?
Oh, that's a good one, man. From a talent caliber, the interview itself, man, I've been so blessed to interview so many. Put me on the spot, though. I'll tell you this. There is this LSU was so awesome to me last year, and it was like being a guy that just left the dugout that was now chasing this new passion. Guys like Cade Beloso, Alex Milazzo, Hayden Travinsky, like there was an old core of dudes that really embraced me. And they're like, oh yeah, bro, we got you. We love what you're doing. Cause like I spoke the language. I just left this dugout, a far less talented dugout, but neither here or there. So like those type of connections and then watch them like go and chase this thing. That was a really,
it matters moment. When you speak language too.
Yeah.
Like
right?
People underestimate the fact that you can like talk like somebody else, and if you're using terminology or lingo that they use, it matters.
Yeah, it assimilates it really quickly. But to me this year, I interviewed a post-game question that I asked Tony Vitello in an interview last year here in Omaha after they were eliminated, went semi-viral, and he was my favorite Ted Lasso line, be curious, not judgmental. He wanted to know about the pencil and the weirdness and wackiness, but also understand that there was a level of professionalism as I really want to do this. He invited me down to Knoxville, and I went to Knoxville in November and did like a stadium tour and interviewed Coach, interviewed Drew Beam, but he gave me 2 lefties. I go, hey, I want to touch the fabric and the core of your locker room for this season. Who are those guys? And he gave me Xander Sechrist, who's pitching today, and Kirby Connell. So throughout this season, I've had them do pencil talk interviews. So to answer your question in a long roundabout way, I'd say those 2 guys.
Okay.
Xander Sechrist, Kirby Connell, boom.
I asked for 1 and he gave me 2.
Yeah, they're a package deal. They were like kickball partners.
Yeah,
like
it's your rules. You know we're on your show. That's right. Yeah.
All right. One answer. Lock it back in. I forgot the name of the show.
No, Jack, I appreciate you being here, man. I enjoy being inside the stadium. I'll go out and about. I think I'm going to ask some people today, like what they think Nebraska's football season is going to be.
I love it. Is there anything going on? What would you suggest I do this time of year?
Yeah, 1,000%. Just start talking about nonsense with people. People love nonsense. And for those that are, looking to like, get into this field or, dive deep into their passion. I mean, we grew up in the YouTube age and then it kind of spiraled into what it is today. Embrace your nonsense.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing something that nobody else is doing, that's cool. You'll probably go viral and that's great. But if you're not doing something that you love to do at the end of the day, even if it is the nonsense that no one is doing, it doesn't have meaning. No doubt. So embrace your nonsense. That's going to, you pulled out Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental. Yeah. The Rogers rule of today is embrace the nonsense.
That's how we all got here, right?
Get that tattooed. Let's go.
Hey, appreciate you, man. We will be back on Saturday. Jack will join me for the championship episode, and that's where we'll dive knee deep into whoever is there. The expectation for the both of us is Tennessee, but who knows? Florida State could wow some people and could end up at that stage, and then it's either Kentucky, who is currently now down 9-2, so a 7-run deficit. If things end the way that it looks right now, you'll see Florida and A&M, and whoever comes out of that, those will be the teams that we break down come Saturday. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you then.